Let's start with a simple question. Where do you build the world's biggest rockets? NASA's answer is the Vehicle Assembly Building, or VAB. You'll find this massive structure at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It's not just any building, it's the spot where America's greatest space machines come to life. The VAB is famous for being bigger than your wildest imagination. It's so big, you could fit a 35-story skyscraper inside. In fact, it's one of the largest buildings in the world, by volume. When people visit Kennedy, the VAB is often the first thing they spot, gleaming white against the Florida sky. This giant garage was built in the 1960s. Its original mission? Assemble Saturn V rockets for the Apollo missions that sent astronauts to the moon. Today, the VAB is still in action, now assembling rockets for the Artemis missions, NASA's plan to return to the moon and go beyond. Inside these walls, rocket science gets real. The VAB is where giant dreams become solid hardware, stacked and ready to reach the stars. Let's talk size. The VAB is 526 feet tall. That's taller than a 50-story building. It's 518 feet wide and 716 feet long. The internal volume is so huge, it could hold nearly 4 Empire State Buildings. You could even fit a football field on its roof and still have room for a parking lot. From the outside, the VAB looks like a giant cube. Its doors are the tallest in the world. Each stands 456 feet high. These doors open to let rockets roll out, and they are so big it takes 45 minutes to open or close them fully. Step inside, and you'll feel tiny. The main hall is open space with crisscrossing catwalks and massive steel beams. Humidity and fog can form inside because the building is so tall. Sometimes it even creates its own weather. Every part of the VAB was built to handle the biggest jobs. The building is so strong, it can withstand hurricane-force winds. Its walls are over a foot thick, keeping out Florida's wildest storms and keeping rockets safe. Now let's step inside the VAB for a closer look. The first thing you'll notice is the huge open space, filled with platforms stacked like shelves. These platforms can move up and down, wrapping around a rocket like a set of building blocks. This allows engineers to reach every part of the rocket as they build it. High above your head, you'll see giant cranes. The biggest can lift more than 325 tons. That's about the weight of 100 cars. These cranes pick up huge rocket sections and gently lower them into place, stage by stage. Scaffolding and catwalks zigzag across the vast open area. Workers use these to move safely around the rocket as it's being assembled. Every tool and platform is designed for precision because even a small mistake could spell disaster for a rocket launch. Down on the floor, you'll find something truly unique, the crawler transporter. This giant machine is like a moving launch pad. It carries the fully assembled rocket out of the VAB and slowly inches it to the launch pad, a journey that's both careful and spectacular. Building a rocket is like stacking a tower of giant, heavy Legos. Except these Legos could go to the moon. First, the rocket's lower stage, often the biggest part, is brought into the VAB. Cranes lift it upright and set it on a special platform. This stage holds the main engines and fuel tanks. Next, engineers bring in the upper stages. These are lifted by cranes and placed carefully on top of the lower stage. Each stage is checked and locked in place with amazing precision. The fit must be perfect, down to the tiniest bolt. Once the main rocket is stacked, the spacecraft or crew capsule is added to the very top. This is where astronauts will sit during their mission. The whole stack can be over 300 feet tall by the time it's done, almost as tall as the Statue of Liberty. Throughout the process, engineers and technicians check everything. They make sure all connections are tight, all wiring is safe, and every system works perfectly. It's a careful dance of people, machines, and massive rocket parts. The VAB's cranes are the building's muscle. The main bridge crane moves along rails high up near the ceiling. It can travel the length of the building, reaching any part of a rocket stack. It lifts each rocket stage swings it into position, and gently lowers it, sometimes with only inches to spare on each side. The platforms are just as important. These are like adjustable balconies that slide in and out, moving up and down to surround each section of the rocket. Workers use these platforms to bolt, wire, and test every part. The platforms lock in place for safety, creating a cocoon around the rocket. Whenever a crane lifts apart, the crew on the platforms helps guide it. Everyone wears safety gear and uses radios to talk to the crane operator. Teamwork is key, because the loads are heavy and the stakes are sky high. After each stage is stacked, the platforms move to the next level. This step-by-step process keeps everything organized and safe. It's a blend of big machines and human skill, turning rocket assembly into a high-tech ballet. When the rocket is fully stacked and ready, it's time for a ride like no other. The crawler transporter rolls in beneath the rocket and its launch platform. This machine is a marvel. It weighs about 6 million pounds and stands as tall as a house. The crawler lifts the rocket with hydraulic jacks, then starts its slow crawl to the launch pad. Its top speed? Only 1 mile per hour. But honestly, that's fast enough when you're carrying a 20-story rocket. The crawler's giant treads spread out the weight, so it doesn't sink into the ground. As the crawler moves, teams of engineers walk alongside, watching for any problems. The journey to the launch pad is about 4 miles long and takes several hours. Along the way, the crawler keeps everything level by using special sensors and computers. Finally, the crawler arrives at the launch pad. It gently sets down the rocket and rolls away. The rocket is now in place, ready to meet the sky. The VAB has a rich history. It started with the Apollo program in the 1960s. Back then, the Saturn V rocket was the biggest ever built, and the VAB was created just to handle its size. Inside these walls, every moon rocket for Apollo was assembled. After Apollo, the space shuttle took center stage. The VAB's platforms were rebuilt to fit the unique shape of the shuttle, with its wings and external tank. For 30 years, every shuttle launch began here, as orbiters were mated with their boosters and fuel tanks. Today, the VAB is home to the Artemis program. NASA updated the building with new platforms and cranes. Artemis rockets, called Space Launch System, or SLS, are even more powerful than Saturn V. The VAB continues its tradition as the birthplace of rockets bound for deep space. No matter the era, one thing stays the same. The VAB is where America's boldest missions take shape, stage by stage, generation after generation. Building rockets isn't just about power, it's about precision and safety. The VAB is designed to keep every piece of the rocket and every worker safe. Every bolt, cable, and panel is checked and double-checked. Safety systems fill the VAB. There are fire alarms, emergency exits, and even hurricane doors that can seal the building tight. Workers train for every possible problem, from fires to equipment failures. Special tools measure everything down to a fraction of an inch. Lasers and computers check that each rocket stage is perfectly lined up. Even a small misalignment could cause big problems during launch. Engineers in the VAB know their work is critical. The safety of astronauts and the success of each mission depends on getting every detail exactly right. That's why the VAB is one of the safest, most precise factories in the world. The Vehicle Assembly Building is more than just a garage. It's a gateway to space history. Every rocket that leaves its doors carries not just astronauts and cargo, but the hopes and dreams of a nation. From Apollo to Artemis, the VAB has been there for every giant leap. Inside these massive walls, history is written with every wrench turn and every stage stacked. Each mission starts here, with a team of experts turning parts into a launch-ready rocket. The VAB is where imagination becomes reality. Next time you see a rocket launch, remember, the journey began in the VAB, where teamwork, skill, and daring ideas come together. The VAB will keep building history, rocket by rocket, for generations to come. So, when you think of space exploration, think of NASA's giant garage, the place where every adventure starts, and where the impossible becomes possible.